Welcome to Keep Smiling, the e-commerce customer experience podcast. Selling products online is challenging and can lead to poor customer experiences. Each episode, we explore how entrepreneurs and organizations in e-commerce are delivering delightfully unexpected experiences to their shoppers and customers. Amazon, Shopify, artificial intelligence, we'll discuss what matters today and what you can do to build a better e-commerce business. We'll show you how. Hello, listeners, and thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ty Walters, and with me today is my co-host, Michael Melgar.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're having an excellent week.
I do too. And Michael, you're joining us from a vacation spot down in South Carolina, right?
Correct. We're in Folly Beach, South Carolina. I just got here on Sunday and I'm already nice and sunburned. It's been nice and relaxing so far. Definitely encourage anyone to head to the beach if you get a chance to this summer, even if it's just for a little bit.
Yeah, we hope everyone's having a good summer. Today is the second day of Prime Day. It's July 16th as we're recording this, and we're already seeing some elevated customer service volumes from some of our clients. But today's show is all about online reputation management for your e-commerce brand. Michael and I have talked about this topic of reputation management before on previous episodes of this podcast. We've written about it. We manage this as a service for our clients. But today, we wanted to take another step back and present reputation management, sort of the wide-angle lens of it, starting at the level of what is it, why it's important, and what does it mean to manage your online reputation. We'll be talking about on Amazon, but then also what are the locations and what are the methods to manage your reputation outside of Amazon.
One thing to keep in mind here is we see so much content about responding to your product reviews or about monitoring your product reviews. And oftentimes that sort of material is in reference to monitoring your reviews so as to prevent competitors from leaving critical reviews, things of that nature. But when we talk about reputation management, that is one small aspect of it. What it really entails and what this episode would really focus on is monitoring your reviews, your seller feedback, your online reviews, all these different touch points on Amazon and off of Amazon. So your customers know that you care about the products that you sell and you care about their experience. So it's not necessarily something that is directly beneficial for the seller, but something that is beneficial for your customers and that will only improve your buyer's trust in coming back and purchasing from you in the future.
Right. And when we think about reputation management, it's more of the advanced kind of next level tactic of customer service. The primary function of customer service that we see would be responding and replying to customer emails and inquiries. This is the next step. This is meeting the customer or the shopper where they're having that discussion on the social media platform or on whatever online forum that might be, and offering our assistance as a representative of that brand to make sure that customer gets their issue resolved and to make sure that other people participating in that forum can see that the brand cares about the experience that their customers and shoppers are having. So I'd like to start off this episode with a definition of reputation management from HubSpot. They say, reputation management refers to the process of monitoring how your brand is perceived by consumers and taking strategic action when necessary to control or improve your brand's reputation. Nowadays, reputation management primarily has to do with monitoring and protecting your brand's online reputation on customer review sites, social media, and Google. So this is a complicated task for modern e-commerce merchants simply because there's not just one place to go to monitor this. There are sites popping up all of the time. There's new ones every year. It's difficult to manage your reputation and all of those conversations that are happening dispersed across the internet. And we're going to briefly cover some of the main ones today that you need to be aware of, but certainly in the future, there will be other sites where your reputation is at stake.
As Ty mentioned, one of the biggest differences in reputation management in comparison to your normal day-to-day interactions is that a lot of your day-to-day interactions are a form of inbound interaction. So the customer has taken the step to reach out to you about something that they've had an issue with, or perhaps something that they had a question about. On product reviews, they don't necessarily expect a two-way interaction. But this is what makes it so much more important is that it is through a public forum so other people can see. So if they did decide to post a question on a public review, for example, that's something that your customers are going to see and that could reflect on your brand. Does that mean that the brand seller didn't do a good enough job explaining their product? Does that mean that they don't care enough? Things like that. These are the things that your buyers are going to think about when they're looking at your product reviews, whether they're critical or positive.
And this podcast is all about e-commerce customer experience. Brand reputation management comes into play because we know that reputation influences shopper behavior. Just think about the many ways that you as a shopper might consult public data, reviews, online discussions that are happening to help you make a decision. Not too long ago, a couple months back, my family and I were in Puerto Rico, and we used Yelp to help us to pick the best restaurant. And we saw those restaurants with the most reviews and the best rating were more a signal that we were going to have a better time there, a better experience. It's not always the case, and certainly that experience fluctuates from day to day. But this is why it matters for e-commerce sellers, because customers are seeing the reviews on their products. They're reading and participating in the conversations about your brand, and that is influencing the next shopper's behavior. So I'd like to bring up a few statistics here. A study performed by Moz, it was a survey of over 1,000 Google users. And in that, they found more than half of the respondents admitted that online reviews are fairly, very, or absolutely an important part of their decision-making process. So it's no longer the fact that these reviews are going unnoticed. The majority of shoppers are taking these into account at varying degrees or levels when they're considering making a purchase from your store or your brand. Another finding from this study was that businesses risk losing 22% of customers when just one negative article is found by users considering buying their product. If 3 negative articles pop up in a search query, the potential for lost customers increases to 59.2%. Of course, this is going to depend on the type of product you have and the industry that you're in, but these statistics prove the power of public opinion. So we're going to talk about in this episode some of the ways that sellers and business owners, business managers should be thinking about these areas of reputation and how to interact with them according to HubSpot's definition in a strategic way with the intention of improving the customer experience, providing a positive signal to shoppers that they should be choosing your product.
We've touched on this before, but what a customer is saying through a product review isn't necessarily always going to be gospel. I'm not going to take that as 100% truth every single time because I know that that person's experience is going to be impacted by their own personal experience with the product. Maybe they received it and somehow their fulfillment wasn't exactly the best, and maybe they received something that was defective. That sort of thing can impact someone's review. So a lot of buyers take those reviews with a grain of salt. And as Ty's statistic mentioned, the 54%, there's a little bit less than half of those buyers who might not go look at reviews at all, right? And so something that you want to consider is that that number is likely only going to continue to climb. As a personal example, but we went to a restaurant on the beach yesterday and no one in the family looked at the reviews for this place. So we were just like, oh, we're just going to go to this place. It looks nice. We're going to go ahead and go and have a great time. We decided to go. And unfortunately, the food was a little disappointing. Right as we were leaving, someone looked up the Google reviews and were like, oh, who picked this place? This place has like 3 stars. This is not a good place. And everyone left that experience with, okay, well, next time we go out to a restaurant, we're going to look at all the reviews for it. So that's an example of how you might go with your gut sometimes and just decide to, purchase something anyway. But over time, people are going to come and look at what people are saying, even if it's maybe not necessarily directly the star rating, but looking at what people are actually experiencing when they do decide to proceed with their purchase. Those things are going to have an impact.
Right. And Michael, you brought up this another finding by Fan and Fuel from 2016 that 97% of buyers are influenced by reviews. So reviews are a formidable force, especially nowadays in 2019, 10, 20 years ago, maybe not so much, but we're seeing the weight that reviews carry is only increasing. And according to the same study by Moz, the 2 primary sources that customers and shoppers are looking for reviews are Google and then Amazon. So if you're an Amazon seller especially, this will pertain to you, but think about how your off Amazon reputation is managed. What does it appear like to shoppers if they're looking for you on Google? We're going to cover some more of that coming up.
And you may have seen this even through unverified reviews, where if you sell a brand that's large enough where people might be able to purchase that on a website other than Amazon, you'll notice an unverified review that might still be authentic and that customers can actually reference to. Even if it appears as an unverified review, that's likely because they purchased on another site, but they decided to come leave their thoughts on Amazon directly. So again, that's another way where someone might be using a search engine like Amazon to search for your product, and then these Amazon reviews will pop up, and it was left by not just Amazon shoppers.
And I wanted to quickly cover or mention Amazon's search algorithm. It's a black box. We're never going to know exactly how it takes into account certain factors and how it ranks products, but Amazon does give us some insight into how that works. And a quote directly from Amazon says, "Factors such as degree of text match, price, availability, selection, and sales history help determine where your product appears in a customer's search results." So according to this definition, you might take away the fact that, hey, well, it doesn't really say in there how reviews matter. Even if Amazon in this definition or in this quote isn't acknowledging directly how they might consider review number and review rating in terms of ranking the products in search, what it is telling me is that as long as Amazon is taking into account sales history, reviews will matter because, as we know, customers tend to purchase the products, all factors considered equal. They will purchase a product with better and more reviews. That affects the sales history, which will cause that upward spiral in your product rank. So get better and more reviews to make more sales. More sales will make you rise in Amazon's algorithm. That's the basic level of how we understand it. And many other sellers that we work with agree, and they take product reviews on Amazon very seriously, and they attribute sometimes drop in rank and drop in sales to a string of a few negative reviews.
To take a step back, we talk a lot about product reviews, but reputation management is not just product reviews. It's essentially at its core just a feedback loop that's found on these different public forums like social media, like product reviews, like seller feedback, like Google reviews across the board. And in our opinion, you want to have a reputation management strategy in place for 4 reasons. Number 1, you want to use a reputation management strategy to build credibility. If you've taken the time to respond appropriately, to give customers direction on perhaps why that experience might have occurred, how to improve it, things like that, these are things that will only help a critical review mean less to other buyers. Number 2, you want to have a reputation management strategy to enhance your brand image. So if you do have critical reviews, by having a form of a regular and helpful public interaction, buyers will notice that this brand is consistently helpful. This brand consistently cares about their buyer's experience. Number 3, what Ty touched on is that it helps boost sales. It's the reason why so many Amazon sellers have to start out by some sort of review service, right? A lot of Amazon sellers will try to get some initial reviews so that they can get more sales. That's because if a buyer comes and sees that there are no reviews on a product, they're a little bit less likely to purchase. They might still take the risk, but it feels risky. So by having more reviews and by being engaged with those reviews and your feedback and your online reviews, that'll help boost your sales. So as your reputation grows, so will your sales. And finally, number 4, you want to have a reputation management strategy so that it can help you improve your business. Product reviews, seller feedback, online reviews, this is a source of feedback that your buyers are providing for you absolutely for free. And that information can be turned into product iterations. It can be turned into a business update. It can be turned into a future product release that can come back and grow your business even further.
Let's start talking about some of the places where online reputation management happens or where it's located. The first and most obvious one for e-commerce sellers is on Amazon, in the form of product reviews, seller feedback, and Amazon questions and answers. These 3 areas qualify for reputation management because they are all public forums. They can be seen by other shoppers, other customers, whereas conversations that are happening in the private buyer-seller messaging system don't necessarily contribute as much to your reputation simply because the visibility of those conversations are lower. Michael, maybe we can cover some more details about those, and then we'll talk about locations off Amazon where reputation management can be considered.
Sure. So out of those three that we've mentioned, product reviews, seller feedback, and Amazon questions and answers, the most prominent of those three is product reviews, because the very first thing that customers see whenever they search for a product is the name of the product, and then they see a star rating there. They can click on those stars and go directly to your product reviews. Amazon even provides them with filtering for being able to see the most recent, being able to see the top rated. Those are the ones that have been rated helpful. So out of those three touch points, product reviews are going to be the heaviest amount of influence. There's going to be a combination of both positive, critical, or even neutral product reviews on this medium. So some of the things that we've touched on before that can help kick off your reputation management strategy is something as simple as taking the time to comment on your product reviews. So that is a form of interaction that a lot of Amazon sellers are missing an opportunity on, because when other buyers come to your product reviews and they see the seller is commenting on these reviews, that's only going to help them feel more trust in buying from you. The second touch point in your reputation management strategies should include seller feedback. This medium is separated from the review platform in that buyers actually have a little bit of a difficult time finding your seller feedback. When it becomes important is when they are ready to shop, is when they're actually ready to check out, because they will see your seller feedback score as they're getting ready to add to cart. If they decide to look at other sellers, they can see a list of all the sellers along with their seller feedback rating, how many ratings they've had in total, and their current feedback score along with their purchasing options. So you can see that right at the checkout process as you're about to add something to a cart. And this is often confused with product reviews. One major point of confusion on Amazon for Amazon buyers is what seller feedback actually even is. In the early days of Amazon, we even had a lot of confusion with Amazon sellers who didn't know the right call to action. They would use terms like product feedback or seller reviews, and a lot of that terminology can get easily confused. So for a typical Amazon buyer, they're going to have a little bit of a harder time understanding what seller feedback is in comparison to product reviews. So that is something that you can even help educate your buyers on through a bit of your outbound messaging.
What we see with seller feedback and more recently with Amazon product reviews is that in certain circumstances, the seller has an opportunity to request Amazon to remove certain feedback or reviews. This is another aspect of the reputation management strategy, because maybe the review has aspects of abuse. Maybe the review is a black hat tactic by one of your competitors to try to tank your product and cause you to fall in the rankings. Amazon's providing sellers now with methods and tools to try to combat that. And of course, we want to make sure, and Amazon really places this as a paramount concern, that these reviews and these discussions happening in the public forum are as authentic as possible, because that informs the shoppers. And as long as the reviews are true and helpful and detailed, that's one of the best customer experiences you could have shopping. But if there's deceit happening or if there's intentional manipulation, that's where Amazon steps in, because they understand once that happens and once customers no longer trust the reviews and the public comments and the forums, they're going to go somewhere else to shop where they can get a better and a true idea of the products that they're intending to purchase.
The last touch point on your Amazon reputation management strategy is the Amazon questions and answers. The interesting thing about Amazon questions and answers is that this is found directly on your listings, but isn't a review. So this is where customers are invited to come in and ask questions about your product or even your service, and other Amazon buyers or yourself can chime in and answer these questions. The cool thing about this is that typically Amazon buyers who have both purchased or haven't purchased and are waiting to try to make a decision on their purchase will use this medium to post your question and learn more about your product. One of the interesting things about this from an Amazon seller's perspective is that when you come to an Amazon question and you're signed in as your Amazon seller account, you will notice your seller badge as the main storefront that is responding to the seller feedback. And when you come to this interface, it's very interesting because Amazon has this laid out as a form of chat. So even though the interface for buyers doesn't necessarily look like a chat interface, it does look that way for Amazon sellers. So they almost anticipate that buyers are going to want to continue that conversation on from there. This is also another medium where if you do have other sellers on your listing, those sellers can also chime in and respond to questions. So again, this is one of those areas where if you can chime in with an authoritative response as the main brand owner for your products, your buyers will be able to see and note those differences, and they'll be able to learn about your products directly from you and not from others.
Right. And since we work primarily with e-commerce sellers, especially ones that are focused on Amazon, this is where we recommend to start. Think about product reviews, seller feedback, Amazon questions and answers, all of the various public areas in Amazon where you can offer customer service. We see that anytime an honest effort is put into those areas, it's going to improve the business. The next step would be to take your reputation management strategy off Amazon. So let's cover a few of those locations and what we can do there. The first one is your web store. With the clients that we work with, typically this is a WooCommerce or a Shopify integration. This is where you're selling your products outside of Amazon. Since you're off Amazon, the rules change. There aren't so many policies and procedures that you need to follow. When it comes to reviews, however, make sure that you're allowing customers that are purchasing from your online e-commerce store to leave you a review. I just went in today, Shopify's app store, and I searched for product reviews. I got over 700 results. Shopify allows third-party developers to build software for various different functions on their site. One of the main functions and most important, especially as it pertains to reputation management, is some type of plugin that allows shoppers to leave reviews for your products. Maybe they didn't go to Amazon and maybe they won't, but if they've come to your site, it's good to see your response as a brand owner on those product reviews on your own website, further providing that social proof that you are a good brand to do business with.
I always think about Trustpilot. Trustpilot is its own third-party review site. So buyers can come and search for your business on their website directly, but they also provide integrations that allow you to have those Trustpilot reviews on your website publicly. So it's both an experience that's specific to your website. So like customers are only seeing reviews from Trustpilot through your website, but it's also something that can extend off of your website. Sites like Trustpilot are only gaining in popularity because people want to see others' opinions, others' feedback through different mediums. For example, I mentioned going to a restaurant earlier. I look at Google, I look at Yelp, I might even look on Facebook to see what the review ratings are on the service or on the food. And very similarly to your products, if you sell something that perhaps is more of an investment, even something that's even just more than $15 or $20, those things are going to be things that your customers are going to be researching online.
Consider your own website, your own web store. Are you allowing the function for shoppers and customers to leave a review? If not, figure out some type of plugin or integration where you can start to collect those reviews. The next location where reputation management happens is on Google. Now, this is probably lesser utilized by e-commerce sellers that we work with, but I think it's an opportunity that we should be considering. The first step to being reviewed on Google is to go through the process of verifying your business, and we'll provide a link in the show notes to that. Go ahead and get that verification out of the way. There's so many other help articles from Google on how to request reviews from your customers and how to reply to public reviews. Some of these reviews are in the context of Google Maps if someone has visited your location. Have that Google presence because it's the most powerful search engine. This might be the first touch point that a potential shopper comes across and sees regarding your brand and business. So you want to make sure that not only do they have the ability to review your business through Google, but also that you're present there in your public replies and your responses, being helpful and offering that customer service.
I feel this is especially important if you plan on growing your brand, if you plan on being more of an authentic, real brand, like the brands that you tend to shop for when you go to stores or when you shop online. Those are going to be the things that your buyers are going to be looking for. Like what we've talked about before is this form of consistency. If I search for your product on Amazon and I'm still not sure if that's, where I want to purchase, I might search for your website next. And then as I'm searching for your website on Google, that's going to be the first thing I see. Is this a business that's even listed on Google? These are things that are going to help me realize that this is an authentic, real business that I can feel comfortable buying from.
And we're talking about Google right now in the sense of literal reviews, whether you're reviewing the business or the products of the business. But the statistics in the article we mentioned, there may even be negative articles written about your business that are found on Google. One of the best ways to deal with those is to keep providing exemplary customer service, proactive reputation management, and over time, those negative articles hopefully will get buried by all the positive things that people are saying about your business. But keep in mind, Google is a massive source of information in search, and do what it takes to monitor and manage that reputation there. The next location where reputation management is happening is on social media. Social media tends to be more of a comment-based rather than a review-based platform altogether. Utilizing Facebook groups, even Facebook Messenger bots, is a growing strategy amongst Amazon and e-commerce sellers. So make sure that you have your fingers on the pulse of your Facebook reviews. Are there reviews that people have left that you can respond to? Is there a call to action on your site or in any of your materials that are asking for reviews on these sites?
And this ties into your overall online reputation. If you have a Facebook page, or even if you don't have one, for example, that's a perfect first step is create a Facebook page, brand it with your logo, brand it with your description, some of that information that, again, is going to help buyers realize that you are a real business. A part of running a business online these days is covering your bases and being a part of those channels. Even if you're just starting out, you want to at least have a Facebook page. From there, buyers are going to be talking about the products that they're purchasing. It might be through reviewing your Facebook page directly, or it might even be through things such as like as simple as hashtags, right? If you search for a hashtag that's related to your business, you're going to see all of these posts that are related to things that people have been talking about within that topic. I think of reputation management, including some of that commentary, including some of the information that's online that way, because you might find a public discussion or a public forum where people are talking about your product or about similar products, and you can chime in as the owner of your Facebook page, as the business owner, to take it as an opportunity to educate and to talk about your products and to talk about the way that it might help them and the issue that they're trying to solve.
It's easy to get overwhelmed. There's so many platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whichever platforms that might pertain to your industry. So start small. Start with a Facebook page, understand that platform, how it works and operates, and then branch out from there as you see that you have the bandwidth for it as a business owner. A great example of sort of customer service and customer experience as it pertains to social media is on Twitter at Seller Labs, where Michael and I used to work. Sometimes customers would voice their opinion in a tweet. They would at the company. They would expect to get customer service there. We didn't start out monitoring that channel or expecting to see those types of messages there. But once we realized that's how customers were using it, I think that called our attention to it, and we were monitoring it, from that point forward. And Amazon has a really nice Twitter account here. It's at Amazon Help. It says, "We answer Amazon support questions 7 days a week. Support available in multiple languages." So it's about meeting your customers where they are and where they're comfortable and where they're having conversations. I think sometimes we see business owners expect the customer to come to them, but the reality is they're on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all these other places talking about you or requesting things from you. And I think as a proactive, comprehensive business owner that cares about reputation, you need to be there and you need to be monitoring those locations so you can have the ability to make a response and make sure that the reputation remains solid, and customers that are leaving negative comments or even comments that are just left unaddressed, you can make sure that those situations aren't hurting your business.
You bring up a good point, Ty, in that this method is more of a proactive strategy in helping your customers. Your customers might not even necessarily expect you to respond directly, or they might have that expectation, right? It kind of depends on the user. But if you are just waiting for customers to email you directly, that's a very reactionary approach, and it's only going to really meet your customers halfway. And that sort of strategy is going to be less and less successful over time as social media becomes more and more important, as customers are using different online forums to talk about products and services. And like what Ty mentioned earlier too, you don't necessarily have to have a social media account across the board, right? It'll really depend on your specific customers. If you sell, for example, fitness products, where are people talking about those fitness products? Are they talking about them through Instagram, through Facebook? Probably don't need to, have an account on LinkedIn to talk about, fitness products, things like that. You can start to narrow down where you might focus your energies, at least to begin with. And it might even be where people are are reaching out to you already, kind of like what Ty mentioned. When we noticed those Twitter messages, that wasn't something that we were actively responding to customer service messages through. But when we saw that, that was a place that then we realized was important to customers and became more important as we went further.
Moving on from social media, depending on the industry that you're in, a variety of these review platforms will apply to you or not. For instance, Yelp is typically for maybe restaurants and dentists or doctors' offices. So it might not be suitable for an online fitness brand to be reviewed there. But there might be another platform that is suitable to that. So I think one of the first steps to take is to understand all of the websites and platforms, or at least the top ones that pertain to your industry and products, and integrate into those. There are a variety of tools out there to help you manage this, since the number of these platforms could be in the dozens or maybe even in the hundreds. Just a few of them to mention are Yext, Review Trackers, or Podium. These are tools aimed at giving businesses the capability to monitor what's going on in all of these different locations and to respond accordingly. With the proliferation of all of these review sites and forums, it's ever more difficult for a seller and a brand manager to manage this manually. Even with a team, it's a challenge. So if any of these tools seem like they might be helpful for your business, take a look. We'll provide links to those in the show notes.
Exactly. The number of places where customers are going to be leaving their thoughts and comments is only going to continue to grow. And you might not necessarily have the bandwidth to handle all of that. We're not necessarily saying you have to go and handle every single customer comment online ever. That's probably not realistic unless you have the right size team and the right software. But get started somewhere, make a list of the places where customers are definitely interacting about your products or services, and use software such as Yext, Review Trackers, Podium to really begin to funnel all that feedback into one place so that you can actually tackle that in a more effective manner.
So Michael, we've covered what is reputation management, why does it matter, and the various different locations that reputation management can be occurring. Now let's transition. Let's talk about some of the ways, some of the guidelines that sellers should follow, and some of the strategies that sellers should take when thinking about how to execute this reputation management strategy. I know it's different for each platform. Sometimes the rules and the policies are changing, but there are some general rules of thumb in how to proceed in the best cases. So I'll take the first one. Respond to all of your comments. Some sellers will respond to only the negative comments. Some sellers will respond to only comments on a certain platform. But the bar to meet is to be everywhere and to be responsive and not let one comment fall through the cracks, because that could be the comment that tarnishes the reputation or turns one or even several customers away from your store. Think about a strategy that allows you to see as many comments, preferably all of the comments on a variety of platforms, and respond to the negative ones, respond to the positive ones, be as many places as you can.
And this doesn't necessarily have to be anything that you bend over backwards for every single time, right? Take proactive steps to show buyers that you care and to show buyers that you're willing to help them out. It's starting out as simple as responding to positive reviews, right? You don't have to say anything super long. You don't have to type a textbook out to them, but you can take the time to thank them. Say something such as, "Thanks so much for your feedback. We're so glad to hear that you're enjoying your purchase. We can't wait to serve you again in the future. Let us know if you have any trouble with this or a future order. Have an excellent day," and then sign off. This is a very simple way for you to just thank your customers for leaving you a review in general. If it is a critical review, you want to take a moment and address the comment directly. So whether you're on Amazon, whether you're on your website or Trustpilot, regardless of the platform, you want to take the moment to address what the customer has actually said. So for example, if you sell something that comes in different sizes, the customer might say something such as, "This product doesn't really adjust to my size. It runs too large or runs too small," something along those lines. Your response can include something like, "Hey there, first name. Hey, Michael. Thanks so much for your review. We're so sorry to hear about your experience. We really want to make sure that you get the right product for you. It's possible you may need a different size. We'd love to help improve your experience at your earliest convenience. Please feel free to contact us here. Thank you for your patience. We hope to hear from you soon." And then again, signing off. Where the exact call to action might change is whether your response is being done directly through Amazon or through another platform. If your response is through an Amazon product review, use your Amazon contact form. We've talked about this a little bit before. If you are looking at your Amazon storefront page where you see your seller feedback, buyers have a ask a question button where they can contact you directly. That button contains a link that you can use over and over again as your Amazon contact link. Amazon's review guidelines are honestly pretty general. So even if this is your customer service email, it's still something that is not necessarily directing them to buy elsewhere, but it is helping them in if they do have an issue, this is where you can contact us.
Right. You want to make sure that what you're saying is appropriate for the platform. They each have their own rules. We know because we've accidentally violated some of those rules. We've also had to stay up to date with the specific rules for each platform to make sure that we're not violating them on behalf of our clients. We accomplish this primarily with keeping separate documents with platform-specific templates. So we know that, for instance, if we're replying on eBay, that all of the templates in this document abide by the policies and the guidelines that are set forth by eBay. There might be different rules and regulations for Amazon or for your own website or for Facebook. Make sure you understand those differences so that your responses don't put you in jeopardy of disciplinary action by that platform.
And those guidelines will dictate what call to action you should use for directing those buyers to contact you with their issue.
Michael, you mentioned using the Amazon contact link. Sellers and brand owners executing a reputation management strategy should be as helpful as possible in the initial public reply to a comment. Sometimes, a lot of times, maybe the issue can be resolved with some education or a quick comment, but in certain cases, details of the resolution might need to be handled in a private conversation. So in that case, if we're talking about sending a free replacement or maybe providing a refund, we recommend to take it off of the public forum, direct them to a private conversation, whether that's your customer service email or, like Michael mentioned, the Amazon contact form link. And you're not going to unintentionally mislead future shoppers because they will be able to see the details of the resolution that you provided if you do post it in a public way.
And they might mistakenly think that the scenario that happened here might apply to them as well, when in fact it might be something that was completely different than what they might experience. You might actually be able to do even more to make this one customer really happy. And that might not be something that you might want to do with every single person who has an issue. So that sort of gives you flexibility in being able to handle the issue appropriately for each individual buyer. One general guideline for a review anywhere, even off of Amazon. So Amazon is very specific in that you cannot ask buyers to change their review. You can't offer any sort of compensation for updating a review. We'll take that a little further and say you should probably take that approach even off of Amazon. Don't ask buyers to change their comments because that really hurts the credibility behind your business.
Right. And we give this advice in other instances. Make your business more like Amazon because, as we know, Amazon is perhaps the most customer-centric company in the world. They are customer obsessed and they develop their product to improve the customer experience. So if they do something, most likely if you replicate that in your own business off Amazon in some other aspect, it's going to be a better situation. Now, some characteristics of a good public reply are they're fast. Typically, the best guideline here is within 24 hours or faster if possible. We mentioned Chewy, the online pet store, in a recent interview. When we shared that interview on social media, we tagged them in it, and they were very quick to respond within hours. And I was pleasantly surprised by that. It was very notable, and I still am talking about it today. And I don't know if it would have been as notable if it would have been 48, 72 hours later, or even weeks later. So being fast with a comment, even if the comment is simple, sometimes can make the difference.
Exactly. It says a lot about how you typically respond to any sort of interaction at all. Because let's say, for example, someone leaves an Amazon question in the Amazon questions and answers section. If it takes you a week to get back to them, that might have already impacted their decision to buy from you. They might say, okay, this person never got back to me. This other listing has a question already responded to, so I'm going to go ahead and purchase from them. Again, that's a really quick opportunity to win your customer over.
Another hallmark of a great public reply is to be warm and friendly and appropriate and never combative. I think we were surprised to see that some Amazon sellers take it personal with certain negative comments. Sometimes they use their public replies as an opportunity to correct the customer or maybe even to challenge their claim.
To defend themselves.
Yeah, it's a defensive approach. I think this is never a good look. We see this as sort of a petty argument where the brand or the company owner is arguing with the customer And we get it. The claim might be unsubstantiated. The customer might be uninformed, but it's never a good look to be defensive. Be friendly and warm and helpful. And don't forget to thank your customers, even the ones who left negative reviews, because they took the time to share their opinion, to participate in that public discussion. And sometimes the best situations start with a negative comment. The customer had a poor experience, they voiced their concern, and if you can respond in a fast, meaningful way, sometimes that negative experience can be reversed and turn into a much better positive situation than if the comment by the business owner was more of defensive and in a corrective tone.
And sometimes a customer might leave a review that was perhaps emotional. This is bound to happen. You've likely have seen this before. Take a step back and really think about what the comments are saying and what you can actually do to help improve that customer's experience, because it's a total waste of time to try to argue it or try to defend yourself. As business owners ourselves, Ty and myself, we understand when someone perhaps has left a comment or a review that might seem like a misunderstanding. That's going to happen. You won't be able to prevent that every single time, but you will be able to control how you go about that scenario in the future. Think about the grand scheme of all of your reviews on Amazon, all of your reviews online, and what other customers feel about your product. Are they generally happy about buying from you? That's what you should really focus your time on, and not so much this one critical review.
There's a lot of energy in negative public reviews sometimes. As a business owner, we need to flip our understanding of this and see it as an opportunity, right? This reviewer is coming at me with a lot of energy. Sometimes, and actually more often than not, there is a way that if I respond appropriately, I have the opportunity to flip that situation and win them over, because the customer is full of this energy. A lot of times we see if they feel heard and if they feel like their issue was met with a good resolution, they can instantly turn into a very passionate fan about your brand or about your business. So the potential for a positive customer experience lies within that initial negative experience. And if you can look at it like it's not ultimately negative, but it is ultimately powerful. What can I do as a brand owner to flip the situation and to win them over to be a fan of what I'm doing?
That reviewer's emotion will fade in time. It will fade likely by the time that you get to the response. They're likely over it. They've moved on. That is a perfect opportunity to swing in and save the day.
Another characteristic of a really good response are ones that seek to provide education to a reviewer or for a commenter. Michael, we see this a lot. A reviewer will come in, they'll leave a negative, maybe a 1-star review saying this product didn't work for me or it came broken or defective. Sometimes it's the case where the customer didn't quite understand how to use the product. Make sure your team is set up with the appropriate FAQs or product knowledge to recognize those situations and to offer immediate education that helps to resolve this customer's misunderstanding. It is frustrating to think that the review in some level isn't justified because there's nothing wrong with the product, but the faster you can reply and the more helpful, maybe it's with a video or a diagram or a comprehensive paragraph on how to appropriately address the issue. Those situations can instantly educate the customer and resolve their issue, which might force them to change their opinion. But for other customers who might be reviewing that conversation, sometimes it can even prevent a future situation if other customers experience that same issue. So do not underestimate the power of managing your reputation online. It's a growing task. It's going to be ever more complex, considering the growth of online review sites, the growth of social media. But what we see is the best brands are taking extensive steps to manage, to measure their online reputation, to have these one-on-one discussions with individual customers who have left them feedback, who have left them a review, who have made a comment about them on these various platforms. And we know this isn't a small task. Maybe at the beginning, it's something that a business owner can do. If reputation management becomes a little bit too much to handle, make sure that you're delegating that. Build a team internally for your company that one of their responsibilities or roles is to manage these various platforms and respond appropriately. There are several companies that you can outsource these tasks to, including SellerSmile. Consider how managing your reputation can improve your business. And if you're suffering from a poor reputation right now, it's never too late to start. A sincere, authentic, helpful comment from a company to a customer can go a long way.
take the time to prioritize the channels that are most important to you. If you are selling on Amazon, Amazon's definitely a place to start. If you are selling off of Amazon, consider which social media channels are most important. Do you have a need for a review platform? Those are some of the decisions you can make early on, but at the very least, start slow and consider perhaps the top 2 or 3 channels that are most important for your business.
So today's customer experience quote is from Abraham Lincoln. He says, "Character is like a tree and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we think of it. The tree is the real thing."
Wise words. To find the show notes, which include links to the articles and resources we discussed, go to sellersmile.com/014. If you have your own e-commerce customer service question or topic that you would like for the Keep Smiling podcast to cover, submit your question to keepsmiling@sellersmile.com. If you found this conversation valuable, hit subscribe and you'll get the next episode straight to your device. Thanks again and keep smiling.